Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Hope you're doing very well. So today I want to do another list. So today I want to do like my top 10 favorite bands slash musicians of all time. Now this list was not the easiest to do, even though my top 5 have always kind of been the same for many years, but always like when it comes to like number 6 to 10, I'm always a bit like, oh, which one? So I kind of thought long and hard. I've had to change a few things around in my list, but yeah, today is my top 10. If you know me well enough, you know most of these bands and you would know what my number one is, but we're going to get to that at the end. But yeah, we're going to start off with number 10, which is pretty much the heaviest and only heavy band on my list, and that is Slayer. So number 10 are Slayer. I've been listening to Slayer for about 15 years now, and I've seen them live about 4 or 5 times I think. And yeah, they are just a band where everything I listen to by them is just amazing. I love it. It's so good. But yeah, I just literally, they are, if you know me quite well, or if you don't really know me well, I listen to a lot of like heavy metal, a lot of black metal. There's no black metal in this list, I'm afraid, but I'll give some mentions towards the end. But again, Slayer were kind of like the first like thrash band I ever listened to, and they're just a very iconic band. And a lot of people kind of say, oh, they didn't get very big, but I think they are a very well-known band. Like they're very, if you listen to metal, Slayer. Even if you don't listen to metal, you probably know who they are. But yeah, all their South of Heaven, and also like Rain of Blood, also just the most iconic albums that they've ever released. But yeah, they're great, and I'm really sad that they broke up, but I managed to see them kind of a few times, which I'm very happy about. But yeah, every time I saw them, it was just, you're in another world. Like literally, you just lose your mind. And every time I saw them, yeah, it was just fantastic. And they're a band that I will continue listening to forever. So then we come to our number 9, and this is a solo artist. So this is Tom Waits. Oh, I love his album so much, and him as a personality and just person is fantastic. Rain Dogs is one of my favorite albums, but I think some of his kind of earlier albums are kind of, they're very like melodic music and very kind of calm and very jazz-esque. I'm not a very jazz listener, to be honest, but his lyrics and the songs, a lot of his songs are about love. These earlier days, now they, the kind of later ones, they make absolutely no sense. But his voice, back in the day, and even like during this album, his voice was just absolutely amazing. He's done so many like weird collaborations, not weird, but as in like a bit strange that he did a song with Bette Midler, and I was just like, that's pretty cool. And there's so many different, he's made so many albums, and I think when it comes to like his more ones that I appreciate is definitely his earlier ones. But yeah, Rain Dogs was like the first album that I ever listened to, and I absolutely love it. It's, for me, when I first heard it, I was a bit like, this is quite strange, but his voice is amazing. More later on down the line, like into his last album, his voice just went full on like Christian Bale Batman, because obviously all that kind of smoke and screaming he used to do. And obviously he's lived a bit of a crazy lifestyle when it comes to making his music, and he's an actor as well. But yeah, he's definitely an artist that I could listen to every day, all day. And yeah, definitely check him out if you haven't ever listened to his music, because it's life-changing. And then number 8, we have an artist who is very controversial. He's amazing. It's Mr. Marilyn Manson. This is actually my favourite album of his, which is Antichrist Superstar. I have pretty much like all his albums on CD form, but this is like my favourite. I started listening to him when I was like that typical 16-year-old, and I was like, I'm going through dark times, who can understand me? And then obviously Marilyn Manson, crazy son of a bitch that he is, when I listen to this album, I think I listen to a best of first. What tends to happen with me, I like to listen to a lot of greatest hits first, but then I always, if people say to me, what album should I listen to? I always kind of say, if you listen to the greatest hits, and then kind of take maybe a song or two and then listen to that album, because I mean, albums as themselves are, you know, one compact thing. But if you're not sure what album to start off with, I always, you know, maybe go to number one or and go onwards. But I guess it depends on what kind of, you know, music you're into in that sense, because with Marilyn Manson, he's always been very consistent with his metal, basically. But yeah, this album, amazing. Marilyn Manson, fantastic. I've seen him live about 3 or 4 times as well. Apart from one time where I saw him at Brixton, was probably like one of the worst times I've ever seen him. I know a lot of people saw him at like a download, which was pretty terrible, like the Eat Me Drink Me era. The album is good, but it's not one of my favorites. But I saw him, God, like the first time I saw him was at Wembley, and then I've seen him like a few times here and there. And then one of the last times I think was at the O2 with Rob Zombie, and that was an amazing gig. That was such a great night because I really love I was about to say Zob Rombi, Rob Zombie as well. But Marilyn Manson for me is always right up there because I grew up listening to him. His music has been very special to me, especially this album. So if you're afraid of Marilyn Manson, do not be, because he's human in some kind of sense. But yeah, his music, amazing. And then we're going on to my number 7 choice, and it is, a lot of people probably say, oh, this should be quite low down, but this is my list. And it's taken me a long time to compile this list, but my number 7 choice is the Beatles. Yay! Oh god, let's put them the right way around. These are the new like additions that came out recently, like for like their 50 years of each album. And admittedly, when I was growing up, I only listened to the Beatles album, which it's like the greatest hits kind of compilation, like the ones, number one, I think they're called. And honestly, the more I listen to him, because when I used to work at Food and Planet, my manager there, he is a big Beatles fan and would play them all the time. And I'm kind of like, yeah, I need to listen to more. And then I became like obsessed with listening to them. So I've listened to all the albums, you know, all this and all that, watched like the films and, you know, the kind of footage and stuff like that. And I've been to the cinema to see a couple of things that has been released recently. I would say like Revolver is probably my favorite album, the one that I don't have with me. But yeah, Abbey Road is always like the classic album. You know, you've got Oh Darling, and yeah, even Octopus's Garden. I'm sorry, but I love that song. Ringo needs to get used to, you know, he should have got more chances. But I think Abbey Road, out of the selection of the 3, is probably the one that I've listened to the most. Sgt. Pepper, you know, you don't even need to question it really. And then the White Album, amazing. There are a couple of songs that I do skip on here, but that's okay. I know a lot of people skip Revolution number 9 because it's just shit. So one of the only songs that the Beatles ever released, and it was shit. Sorry, John Lennon, if you are listening. But you know, it's the Beatles. I've come across people who don't like the Beatles, but you know, that's their prerogative. I don't care. I think they're a band that are just not offensive, if you know what I mean. Obviously their earlier albums were very like lovey-dovey, happy, la la la, and then later on their albums got really kind of dark and a bit more psychedelic. I think it was the drugs. Like if you look at like the songs in the White Album, like you've got basically you've got Helter Skelter, like Paul McCartney screaming on that song is amazing. And obviously we know what happened with like Charles Manson, Helter Skelter stuff. But yeah, even like on Sgt. Pepper, you've got just like really random songs. You've got like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Obviously a lot of people are like, oh, that's about LSD, blah blah blah. And obviously Fixing a Hole is probably like my favorite song on the album. But yeah, Beatles, like they are just, for me, like, yeah, I've gone through phases of listening to them for like days and hours on end, and I could listen to just any song and pick it up and just listen to it. But yeah, that's what Spotify's for, because you know, you can basically pick any song to listen to, and you're good to go. So we are going on to number 6. I recently did a like a homage really badly to it on my makeup, and it's Mr. David Bowie. So I tried to recreate the Aladdin Sane album cover, and I didn't do the most amazing job, but it's okay, you know, we live and learn. But it was just showing my appreciation. But yeah, I spoke about him so much on my channel because he is such a iconic, amazing person. My favorite album I have mentioned is Let's Dance. I don't have that as a physical copy on me, and Station to Station, but we had like The Next Day, which was of course like his second to last album, and then we've got a greatest hits. I actually think this belongs to my dad. I need to take it back because I think I borrowed it and just kept it, which is fair enough because I tend to do that a lot. But yeah, like I grew up listening basically to this albums more specifically, and I think I started listening to actual albums as I got older because I didn't really have any money to buy albums. I didn't know really where to go, but obviously now we have like I have like HMV or FOP or even like YouTube when you can just like want to listen to a whole album, and obviously Spotify as well. Like if you're really interested in listening to an artist, listen on those platforms. They still get, I guess, some kind of money out of them unless you illegally download. So that's naughty. But yeah, Mr. Bowie, like he is just, you know, I don't know what to say. It's just I grew up listening to his music, and for me everything is amazing. Obviously my heart was broken the day he died, but that's something happens. Yeah, I'm not gonna say. But yeah, yeah, he's someone that I will listen to till the day I die. This will be passed on to my children, and then hopefully, you know, one day they will pass it on to theirs and legacy will live on. And then we're coming up to number 5, so we're at the halfway mark now. If you're sticking with me so far, thank you very much. We have also the albums that I'm showing you are not the whole representation of my favorite albums. They're just the albums that I have on, like, to kind of grab, because I have my CDs located everywhere in my room, and I just kind of picked the first ones that I got. So my number 5, I apologize, is Pink Floyd. Yay, this is a Division Bell. This is not their most highly rated album, but I still quite like it. But yeah, Pink Floyd, oh wow, the Wish You Were Here album, absolutely perfect. And obviously Dark Side of the Moon is their most iconic album, an album cover. But yeah, I grew up again listening to their greatest hits and only knowing Comfortably Numb and Wish You Were Here and this and that. And then as I got older, like obviously like teenage years, I got like those albums and, you know, Change Your Life basically. They're just albums that you need to listen to from like beginning to end, especially Dark Side of the Moon, because there's bits in there that kind of drop in and out, but then you just need to listen to them as a whole. And again, like Division Bell, I thought it's quite good. It's not their best album because I think it's their kind of first album without Roger Waters, but I still quite like it. I went to the Pink Floyd exhibition, which was in London. I think it was like last year or the year before, and it was amazing. It like they were going through obviously like England. I think they're going to France, and I'm not sure where it is now, if it is still going. But yeah, Pink Floyd, amazing, iconic. I never obviously I never got to see them, and I've not seen like David Gilmour live. I would absolutely love to, because he is just an amazing musician. Actually, all 4 of them are. I know Richard Wright has passed away, and obviously Syd Barrett, obviously the original singer, no longer with us. But yeah, as a whole band, they are just chef's kiss. I'm gonna say that to every band I have on my list is like chef's kiss basically. So yeah, that was my number 5. We're going on to a completely different genre, but this is a band that I grew up with, and I will love and fight anyone who says it's wrong. So my number 4 is Blur. This is their last album that they brought out, which was The Magic Whip. I didn't really want to listen to this album when it first came out because I was like, why they come back? What are they doing? But this album is so damn good. My favourite, I mean, there's too many to choose from, but I just Blur as a band. I obviously am a 90s child. Like I grew up in 1987, so I was about 3 or 4 when they were getting quite big, and my older brother was really into like 90s music, so I used to like listen to them with him, like Oasis and Blur and, you know, Guns N' Roses and Pearl Jam and stuff. And I think Blur really stuck out to me because them as a whole group, I think, they just work so well together. It was obviously really sad when Graham left, but I still quite like, you know, most of their albums, all of the albums basically. But yeah, when they came back with this album, I was really surprised because all the songs are so bloody good. And, you know, I really like Gorillaz as well, but I think Blur is just as a band are fantastic. So they are a band that I've been listening to since I was like 4 or 5, and I met Graham Coxon once at Camden, and I said, oh, can I have a photo? And he's like, oh yeah, sure. And I was like, I've been listening to your music since I was like 5 years old. And I think that might have freaked him out, because that probably made him feel like old or something. Not that I'm young, I was like a child at all. I think I was about 25 when I met him, but I think saying that to someone is kind of like, okay, get away from me, you weirdo. But yeah, I mean, they're a band I will love forever. Not to say that I prefer them over Oasis. I mean, I'm more of a Blur fan. I do love Oasis a lot, but I think when it comes to like the Britpop era, these guys are up there for me. So we're getting towards the end of my list now. We're coming up to number 3, and this is a band that I have never stopped loving. There's times when, you know, when you're really into a band and then you kind of forget about them for a while. But my number 3 is REM. I think I've probably have I spoken about them before on my channel? I don't know. But they are honestly one of my favorite bands in the whole world. This is obviously my favorite album, Monster. This is like a live album, because again, this is what I could find in my collection. And this only came out, I think, at the beginning of this year. It was only like a few months ago. But yeah, Monster is my favorite album by REM. And yeah, I just remember listening to this again. Same with Blur and all other bands. Just growing up and listening to their music, and I got to see them live once. Yay! I saw them in Twickenham. Like the last time that they toured here, I guess that was when I was in uni. So it was like over 10 years ago at least. But yeah, they're just a band that I always loved consistently from when I was young to now. And obviously they kind of did a little collaboration here and there, like when they're releasing the album, but you know, it's never going to be the same as they were in the 90s. Like they haven't played together live or anything. I think they've just done like interviews and stuff without Peter Buck actually. So it was just like Michael Stipe and Mike Mills just doing interviews. But I know Peter Buck is doing his own band stuff, which is fair enough. I don't think they would ever really get back together, because you know, it's just different times now, different audiences. But yeah, their music is so crazy. Like it's got just like, it's such a pop but indie rock vibe to it, if that's just how I'm trying to explain it. But yeah, REM has been a band that I have worshipped for many years and will do. Yeah, I can't really fault them in anything. Even the Up album, I love that album. Like people say it's their worst album. I think it's pretty damn good. And then we're coming on to our number 2. So we're almost at the end. Thank you for sticking around if you are still here. If a lot of people know me, they will know that this is not a shock. Number 2 is Nirvana. They are my boys, basically. I grew up, like Kurt Cobain is my hero. Like he is one of the people who taught me to love myself and not give a shit about what other people think. And the music always was just very personal to me. And this is like their Live at Reading album. I just love this. And I've got it on DVD as well. And obviously this special edition box set that I think I got this on either eBay, I got this in like a shop in Soho somewhere, but it's one of their like box editions. It's called like With the Lights Out, and it's such a beautiful like metallic, and I haven't looked at this in so long because I don't have a CD player, don't have anything to play it on, but it's just an item that I will cherish forever. And yeah, I just really love Nirvana. They're just an amazing band. It's just quite difficult to explain what they mean to me, but it's just, yeah, fantastic. I love them. But yeah, I am going to do some honorary mentions because I couldn't fit everything. Sorry, I'm just reaching over. A couple of bands that I wanted to like feature, but obviously 10 is a lot. So I'm going to, you know, Cradle of Filth, very nice and heavy. The Doors, Emperor, you know, Misfits. There's so many bands out there that I want to talk about, but you know, this video is getting very long as it is. And then we're coming to our number 1. And are you surprised? No, because it's Led Zeppelin. These copies are signed by John Paul Jones. I met him, which is the bass player, which is this dude just here, the most amazing bass player in the world. But yeah, they are just, I don't know how many more times I can talk about them. I'm not going to talk about them very long. You know, that's my number 1. I love them more than really anything in this world, and I will do forever. But yeah, they are just iconic, have a lot of their merch, and just, yeah, they're just a band that if I'm ever feeling like shit, I will listen to them and have the most calm, relaxed time, which I might do listen to them in a minute as well to get relaxed. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed my list. Please let me know what you think. And yeah, leave some comments, whatever your favourite bands are, if you agree with any of the bands as well. Please like, subscribe. And yeah, I hope to see you guys very soon. Thank you for sticking around. Bye.